This broadcast from the Matrix Midwest Studios is brought to you by New Ground International. It's time to plan, design, and build your future. Start today at newground.com.
Offside Hockey, driven by Weber Automotive Group.
Well, it's a Wednesday night. That means at 6 o'clock, it's time to tune into Offside Hockey on Matrix Midwest. With Amy Markscourse, I'm Chris Kerber. The only thing missing right now with you watching us is you got to cook up one of those rubbery Salisbury steaks from a TV dinner where at the same temperature, you're getting the steak cooked with potatoes and the chocolate chip cookie that somehow didn't melt.
Do you get
Or the
peas?
brownie.
Aren't there occasionally
There's probably
peas?
peas in there. Those
never
those
prick
would
your
be even
peas.
worse.
Or never scoop your peas. You're supposed to prick your peas. That's what I've heard. You're never supposed to scoop your peas. You're supposed to prick them.
It'd take me too long to find all the peas with a fork on that one. Anyway, get dinner ready, and we're glad to have you with us. Offside Hockey. Dave Goucher of the Vegas Golden Knights is coming up. We're going to look at some other Blues notes like Logan Mailloux going down, Milan Lucic playing. We've got some around the National Hockey League, a crazy celebration in Boston for a Pasternak goal, and then a look ahead to next week as well. But we kick off the show with our 3 stars of the week, and let's start with this one. How about the young kid, Dalibor Dvorsky? Injury was the reason that he was called up, along with team performance. They put him in the lineup. He's played well enough, Amy, to stay in. He's done exactly what you want a young kid to do. Take a spot. And right now, he's done it, and they're keeping him at center. He's finding a way to produce. He's growing into a nice role.
Yeah, I had such a fun conversation with Dvorsky the other day, and talking about his shot, but really moved on to the face-off. And I said, you're doing well on face-offs. You're continuing to grow that part of your game. He said, yeah, they're important to me. I want to start with the puck. I like to start with the puck. And then he said, I worked with Michael Handzus in the summer. He's like, he played here, right? Then we went down a whole rabbit hole about the Slovak line. I said, oh my gosh, the Slovak line. Like, I grew up watching them. I was a kid at the rink. And he's Pavel Dimitra and Lubos Bartechko. Yes, and we talked about the Slovak line. He praised Michael Handzus on how he's helping with his game. He's not imitating Handzus' face-off style, but they're watching Dvorsky's own style, making adjustments to become more successful in the face-off circle. And he ended the conversation by saying, I wish I could have seen the Slovak line play. Because when was that? I go, late 90s, early 2000s. He goes, I wasn't even on the planet yet.
Yeah, what broke up the cycling Slovakians actually happened to be the trade for Keith Tkachuk.
Yeah.
And that is what happened there. So Dalibor Dvorsky, though, off to a terrific start and having a fantastic second stint here in the National Hockey League, and you hope it's one that sticks. The Blues have clearly taken the patient approach with him, and it appears to have worked. Now, sometimes you go out during the free agent market in the summer and you sign a guy. Pius Suter was constantly considered pretty much the second most valuable centerman on the market. He signed with the Blues. Holy cow, did they get a player with this guy. And it's not just the fact that he had 25 goals last year, not just the fact that he also is the first Blue to 10 points. It's kind of amazing it's taken the Blues that long to get there. They can use him in every category. They can use him penalty killing. They use him on the faceoffs. Amy, they got the nickname for him, the Swiss Army knife, for a reason. This was a heck of a good free agent signing by the Blues. It's this signing that allowed our previous star, Dalibor Dvorsky, to take some time to develop.
Yeah, it's really impressive what Pius Suter has been able to do. And I was talking to him about his time playing in the Swiss Pro Leagues. I think he spent about 5 years in those leagues. Obviously, the ice is bigger, so you have more time. He said it's so focused on puck possession in those Swiss leagues. So then you come here, you have a lot less time, you have a lot less space, but it's just adjusting to the timing, but also focusing on that puck possession. I do think there are times where it feels like Suter is able to slow it down a bit, like dictate the pace of play and maintain that puck possession to create sustained scoring opportunities.
His calm with the puck and his smart IQ play is one of the things that's helping the Blues kind of get back on the winning track as they've picked up more points here over their last 5 or 6 games. And finally, this number 1 star of the week is an easy one for us. Jordan Binnington passes his agent, Mike Liut's record for most games played in the regular season by a goalie. Now, when you combine Jordan's playoff games already, he already had the total tally already done. But most games played for Jordan Binnington, pretty cool. He played a fantastic game. looked for a while there like he was going to knock on the door of a shutout if it weren't for those 2 quick goals by the Flames. But, Amy, amazing to think about. No goaltender in the history of the Blues has played 8 seasons for St. Louis.
I did not know that. Man, when you put it that way.
I know. I said it to Jordan. I said it to Jordan this morning.
Yeah.
This morning. He goes, "Are you serious?" And he says,
yes.
"Consider, especially if you consider the players that have played here." I mean, we're talking Glenn Hall, who won a Vezina Trophy, and I know it was the ends of his career, but a Vezina and a Conn Smythe. Mike Liut, Curtis Joseph, Grant Fuhrer. Brian Elliott's numbers are off the charts. Jake Allen had 7 seasons. But it's kind of amazing to think about that, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think Jake Allen is like 3rd on that list, I think.
He is now 3rd. He was 2nd until Jordan caught him.
Yeah.
And then passed him, and then passed Mike Liut.
Yeah, when you think of it that way, it is pretty remarkable. And I still remember meeting Jordan Binnington in January of 2019. He was basically a 5th-string goalie at that point because we had lent him out to Boston and their minor league teams. And to see where he's come from that moment, I don't think if in that moment when I met him, they said, "Did you know he's going to become the winningest goaltender in Blues history, play the most games?"
No, but here's a quick nugget for you on that. When he was drafted, Mike Liut called him up. Mike Liut's his agent.
Yeah.
Mike Liut called him up and said, "Well, the good news is you'll never be the best goaltender in Blues history." Right? Mike Liut said that to him. And here's Jordan that has now passed up all of Mike Liut's records, as the top goaltender in Blues franchise history, including the most important one of all, having won a Stanley Cup. All right, so Jordan Binnington, congratulations, our #1 star of the week. A new segment coming up. Joey Vitale got out the telestrator. He's going to break down some of Jimmy Snuggerud's shooting ability. That's coming up next on Matrix Midwest. Well, welcome back into Offside Hockey. Okay, this week we get to introduce a new segment. This is one we've told you it's coming. We've been planning on this for a while. It's X's and O's, or because Joe Vitale is doing it, we can call it X's and Joe's. But Joe Vitale grabbed a hold of some of the equipment over here at Matrix Midwest and started diagramming, and he started breaking things down. So this is a true get into it hockey segment. X's and O's, or X's and Joe's with Joe Vitale. Jimmy Snuggerud is his focus on this one.
All right, Curbs and Amy, thank you so much. Well, I wanted to talk about goal scoring in the National Hockey League. The St. Louis Blues recently just saw Alex Ovechkin score goal number 900. And what some people don't know about Alex Ovechkin and his shot is that he has the ability to get the shot off in all types of directions and all types of balance points. Most shooters in the league, they got to be square, they got to be loaded, and they got to be centered. For Alex Ovechkin, you can put that puck anywhere in that 4-foot radius of where he's at, and he will find a way to get that shot off. There's a St. Louis Blues player that really mimics this, and he's a young kid. He's got a long way to go, but I really want to focus in now on Jimmy Snuggerud and a couple of the goals he has scored earlier this year. This was in Vancouver. This was his very first goal of the year. You're going to see him falling backwards. He's falling away from the net right here, and he's still able to get this shot off. I can't tell you how difficult this is. You're going to see a closer look at it right here. He's moving backwards, he's moving backwards, he's moving backwards, he's moving away from the net, and he's still able to get that off, and with quite a lot of velocity as it goes just up and under the bar. Here's another goal he scored. This is a power play goal against the same Vancouver Canucks. He must love playing the Canucks. You're going to see this from the outside, a great pass from Cam Fowler, and you're going to see him rip this on a completely different balance point. Now he's shooting off of his front foot. Watch right there. This is what I want to focus on. Super important, he shoots off of the front foot. This keeps the goaltender really off balance because when you're skating, most players, I'm going to grab a stick for this one, most skaters, they come in for a righty like Jimmy Snuggerud, they're going to go up on that right foot. That's their balance point. That's their balance leg, and then they shoot. He's actually on this clip, he's on his front leg. which again, it's an incredible balance point. It's really tough to do. You have to have a huge core strength to do it. But also, he's shooting in stride. He's moving forward and then shooting off his front leg, which keeps the shot very unpredictable. And in this particular game for the Vancouver Canuck goaltender, he has no idea he's going to shoot this puck. You see it roll forward just quickly, nice and slow. Far side, under the blocker, Jimmy Snuggerud. Again, far from 900 goals, which we've seen from Alex Ovechkin, but Jimmy Snuggerud well on his way. Curbs, Amy, back to you.
Yeah, that's actually pretty awesome, Joe. And yes, Jimmy Snuggerud is far away from 900 goals. But you could really understand the breakdown. If you talk to somebody like Bernie Federko, who I know you were talking at practice with the other day, one of the things that Bernie Federko has always said is that if you're in the NHL and a pass comes close to you, you should be able to receive it. Well, that's another thing for shooters. Shooters want to say, if it gets close to me, I want to be able to shoot it. And so the role of Jimmy Snuggerud, when he's playing with Robert Thomas, the coaches have told him, you're the shooter on that line. We need you to shoot the puck. They know he's got a wicked shot. I mean, just a flex on that shot that you just saw there, a replay of what Joey was breaking down. They know he can shoot. They know he's got that goal scorer's gift, that some shots that other people will take that don't go in, go in. But the thing of it is, Amy, he's such a doggone good passer that he's passing opportunities now, too. And they want him to shoot, and that's the bottom line. So when we look at the last 5 games, and you see 2 of the last 5 games where Jimmy Snuggerud does not have a shot on goal, that's not the trend you want to see. You want to see him have 3, 5, 7, 6 attempts at the net, 7 attempts at the net, and really start using that shot. It's a massive weapon.
Yeah, it really is. And partly because of what Joey was saying, how he can shoot while he is, falling away from the puck. He can shoot in stride. I think we saw that with Coronado's goal actually last night. It's just so tricky. It's so hard to read for the goaltender when you're shooting off that front foot. But Jimmy Snuggerud also does something that Vladimir Tarasenko used to do, which is a lot of shooters have that big wind-up when they shoot or they pull the puck back. He can shoot when the puck is almost parallel with his skates, and it's heavy. It's way heavier than the goalie is expecting it to be, and that's hard to read.
They are hard to read, and the other key for Jimmy Snuggerud is he continues to go, guys are going to be keying in on him. Guys are going to be challenging him. Guys are going to be, he's going to start seeing his name circled on that board more and more. So for him, he's then going to have to find his way into the open ice. And where is his passing going to really save him? If somebody commits to him, just like teams know that Alex Ovechkin, they know where he's going to shoot it, they know how he's going to shoot it, they know when he's going to shoot it, they can't stop it. You say, well, we're going to key in on him. Well, if you key in on him, they find somebody else. The thing is, you key in on Jimmy Snuggerud, he's got the ability to find somebody else. And I'm telling you, what I would tell all the fans out there, as much as you're excited about his shot, watch this young man pass the puck. 1 touch, 2 touch. It is fantastic how well he plays.
Yeah, and like you said, it adds a layer of dynamism to his line because the shooter can become the playmaker can become the shooter.
What did you say that word was?
Dynamism?
Dynamism.
I'm guessing that's right.
Oh, you know what? Before the end, we are going to start the Amy Mark Scores Dictionary. Each week there's going to be a word she's going to come up that we have got to learn. Well, we kind of know what that one means based on context clues. But we'll start looking it up. Okay, Blues have a big weekend coming up. This is going to be a fun one. A rare home back-to-back. Philly on Friday, Vegas on Saturday. We're going to talk to my buddy Dave Goucher, who's the TV voice of the Golden Knights and has been that way since day one for that franchise. He's coming up next on Matrix Midwest. All right, welcome back into Offside Hockey alongside Amy Mark Scores. I'm Chris Kerber, and each and every week we bring on different guests, and this one I'm real excited about as we welcome in the longtime voice of NHL hockey for both the Boston Bruins and then now TV voice of the Vegas Golden Knights since they were born into the NHL, Dave Goucher. Dave, how are you, bud?
Hey, I'm good, Curbs. Good to be with you guys.
Good to be with you too. Now, Amy, I got to tell you, this isn't just an NHL thing.
Yeah.
My first year in pro hockey, 94-95 with the Birmingham Bulls, Dave was doing the play-by-play for the Wheeling Nailers in the East Coast Hockey League. And then he made the jump to Providence the next year. I got a job offer in Springfield. I called up Dave and I said, geez, Dave, I'm going to be making less money in the American League than I'm making in the East Coast League. He said, doesn't matter, you got to get to this league. This is where all the scouts and everybody are in. So made the jump to Springfield. Life took off from there, and then both of us jumped to the NHL 2000. So this poor guy's been stuck with me riding his coattails for quite a long time.
It's unbelievable,
Yeah.
the crosses we have to bear. I forgot, Curbs, that you left for less money. I left for $500, so at least I got a nominal raise. But
That's right.
look where we landed.
It is. Listen, not only did I leave for less money, the deal is my first year in Springfield, the team paid me $1,000 a month to do all the PR and sales work and things, plus whatever commissions you brought in. The radio station paid me $100 a game to do the game. You're like, okay, this gets you right around $17,000 to $18,000 a year, right? You know, the problem was I did okay enough at sales that the taxes, by the time they took them out individually, you put them all together, it actually put me in a different tax bracket. So I was like below poverty level individually, so no taxes, and then you put it together. So worst part about it is that April 15th, I owed some money to the government on top of it.
So you're making like 18 grand and you had to pay the government.
And then I still had to pay the government.
That's
Dave,
awesome.
listen,
well,
man.
look at this.
We
Two
got-
schmucks doing radio forever, and now they managed to put us on television.
Yeah,
So
you know, the funny thing is they put you and I on TV for our different teams, and yet 4K exists. Like, I always thought that high def would be the end of our chances, but that hasn't happened.
Well,
they just do camera shots like this where they keep it so far away you can't tell what I look like.
Well, it was either a lack of foresight or a series of clerical errors, you could say.
Yeah, that is true.
heavy makeup.
A lot of makeup. I want to, we're going to talk about this year's version of Vegas and what Blues fans might see on Saturday night. But I got to go to this other topic first. I believe that the Vegas Golden Knights are rewriting the rules of how teams can compete and can stay competitive. Now, look, we understand the rules of the expansion draft and how that went very well for Vegas, and they did a great job with it. But since then, they're playing in the same sandbox by all the same rules. And they find a way through real aggressiveness and some cold-hearted moves even, but not cold-hearted in terms of for their fan base, to have stayed competitive. Having been entrenched there since day one, what have you seen is the ultimate key for why they've been able to stay in that competitive window as long as they have?
Yeah, it's a great way to put it, Curbs. I think the answer to why is they are not afraid to make hard decisions. You know, they're not overly sentimental, but they always think of what's best for the team first. And, you know, to your point, like they did a great job in that expansion draft. I would say the same rules were made available to Seattle a few years later. I think the league smartened up a little bit, to be honest with you. But they, when they identify a player or a need, they are not shy at all about going after the players that they want. You know, obviously, you know, Alex Pietrangelo would have been one of those a few years ago. Noah Hannafin a couple of years ago. The big one for them was Mark Stone. You know, I was asked the other day about, and I was so happy to see Zdeno Chara go in the Hockey Hall of Fame from my time back in Boston. And, you know, somebody asked me for my thoughts on Chara. And I said, you know, that was the move for that Bruins team that turned the whole culture around and that they were going to start to build this to be a championship contending team. I think that's the same deal with the Golden Knights getting Mark Stone here a few years ago from Ottawa. So they've made bold moves, Curbs, when you think about that. Jack Eichel, you could put on that list, Tomas Hertl, among others. But they make bold moves. They've drafted well enough where, you know, some of the players they gave up that hasn't really come back to bite them. I think the only one would be Nick Suzuki, who they traded to Montreal in the Max Pacioretty trade. But very aggressive, not afraid to make what can be hard and at sometimes unpopular decisions. But that's the big reason why they've been able to be, you know, a contender here for, you know, since the beginning.
And Dave, you've been there since the beginning. How loud were the voices that said, hockey will never work in Vegas? Hockey could never work in Vegas.
I think they were pretty loud, Amy, from outside, but I would tell you that having been here since, as you said since day one, and meeting people that have grown up here and born and raised in Vegas, I think people were looking for something, an identity away from the Strip. Like, we all love the Strip, and it's all there if you want it, with world-class shows and entertainment and world-class restaurants, the entertainment capital of the world. But if you live here, that's not really your day-to-day experience. I'm too cheap, Curbs, you could speak to this, to go down to Caesars and play $5,000 hands of blackjack. Not happening. But I think people that have, been here much longer than me would tell you that they wanted something. UNLV basketball back, 30 plus years ago was probably the kind of that bonding team here in the community. But good on the NHL and good on the Golden Knights from getting here first. I always joke around, guys. I just think it's the climate we live in today. You probably couldn't get 10 people to agree that today is actually Wednesday, but sports teams can bring you together. And Golden Knights were able to do that. And, winning helps. They've been good every year. They've only missed the playoffs once, and that was, I think, with their next to last game of the season a few years ago. But so that certainly is winning cures a lot of things, as we all know.
Dave, what is the story and what happened with Alex Pietrangelo where the decision that was made was a necessary one?
Yeah, I think, Curbs, and I feel terrible for Alex, and obviously you know him very well. Both of you know him very well from his great years with the Blues. He got to a point with both of his hips where he just wasn't going to be able to do it anymore, or at least not without significant rehabilitation. I don't know if it would be the same thing that Patrick Kane went through with Chicago. Eventually with Chicago, and then moved on to play with the Rangers in Detroit. But I think it was kind of similar. Major work on both hips. Kane just had the one hip. Nick Backstrom tried to do it with the Washington Capitals, and just it didn't work for him. So I think having seen Alex here a little bit, he's still involved. He's still around the organization. As I sit here, I'm at our practice facility in Summerlin. He's around quite a bit. I think they'd like him to maybe work with some of the younger defensemen with their AHL team in Henderson. He still has, I think, another year left on his contract. The question always is going to be, if he takes a year off and continues his rehab, is that, I think it's more towards being able to live a normal life and play with his kids, and he loves to play golf, as you guys would know. I think it's more geared towards that. I don't think it's geared towards, hey, could he take a year and get his hips better and come back and play 15, 16 minutes a night? I don't think so. He went through a lot last year, guys. He missed the Four Nations because of one of his hips. And, I think he was going to get some treatment and try and have things settle down a bit. It was better, but, if you watch some of our games last year, he wasn't the Petro you guys grew to know and love in St. Louis, and same here in Vegas. So hopefully this allows him to be, as you know, he's a very loving and active father, and this will allow him to be able to continue to do those things.
Well, the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the St. Louis Blues here in St. Louis this weekend, and the Knights suffered a big injury with Mark Stone out in October. How has that impacted the team? What does he bring as far as not only his skill but his leadership? Yeah,
Amy, every significant part of their game, it's affected, mostly on the power play. If you just went and looked at their numbers with and without Mark Stone, they're dramatically different and in the wrong direction different. They had one of the best power plays. They had their best power play they've ever had last year. I think they were second in the league. This year, they were right at the top of the league. They were at the top of the league in goals scored as well this year. And I think the note we had on our broadcast the other night was, since the injury to Stone, the Golden Knights were tied for the fewest goals scored in the league. So every important facet of their game, he's a part of. And then you throw in the leadership piece of it as well. They get off to a great start as a team, guys. They were 5-0-2, and now they've lost 6 of their last 8. And I just peeked at the standings before joining you guys. They're out of a playoff spot right now. They're in 9th place in the West, and I know there's miles to go here, but the injury to Stone, the injury to Aiden Hill in net, their number one goaltender, and they also lost Noah Hannafin, their best defenseman, in the first game, and he missed 10. He's been back for a few now, but the Stone one would be the big one, Amy, and I feel bad for him because he's had some of these fluky injuries over the years. He's had a couple of back surgeries. He ruptured a spleen a couple of years ago. This injury was just kind of a weird where he fell awkwardly at center ice, and he hasn't been seen since. So, yeah, he's if you were going to list the most valuable guys on this team, he would be in the top 2 or 3, to say the least.
Well, I would think, too, Dave, that the continued success of the Vegas Golden Knights is while you have had key injuries over the years, it's been one here, it's been one there, maybe a guy on LTIR, that kind of stuff, and you're able to fill the gaps. The snag would be as if a couple of those guys, like you mentioned, it's Stone down and Hanifin. That's then where things really get tricky because that's not salary cap related. That's just pure hard to replace those guys related.
Yeah, and long-term curves, right? It's not a week to 10-day thing with some of these injuries, right? I mean, Stone's been out for 7 or 8 games now. Aiden Hill's been out a long time. So I think that's where, I mentioned the one year they missed the playoffs. They were in first place. The All-Star game was in Vegas that year in February of 22. The Golden Knights were in first place at the All-Star break and missed the playoffs because they got hammered with injuries and they just couldn't overcome it. So, yeah, I think it's the players that are injured, high-end players, and also the length of time that, I think you can probably, short-term, you can get by for, I'll be honest with you, when Noah Hanifin was out, he missed 10 games, but the Golden Knights got off to a really good start. You miss a month, 3 weeks, you can maybe overcome it. It's these longer ones to keep people that, I think really test your depth. And I would say, Curbs, that has been an issue if you came into the season and looked at the Golden Knights and said, well, their depth is, they might have the deepest forward group in the NHL or they would be in the conversation. That depth scoring for them has not come through. Most of the scoring is from 4 or 5 players. So players, they were really, you'd pencil a guy in here for 15 to 18 to maybe 20 goals. That hasn't happened, and that's been one of the reasons that they've stumbled here. As I sit here with you, we've got one more game to go on a homestand tomorrow against the Islanders. The Golden Knights have lost 4 of the 5 so far in the homestand, but a good part of it is the power play is dried up without Mark Stone, and their secondary scoring really has been lacking here lately.
Well, it ought to be a fun one. Saturday night, that'll be a fun one for the Blues and the Golden Knights on Saturday. Dave, love you giving us the time. Thank you very much, my man, and have a safe trip in. We will see you on Saturday night. Maybe
Sounds
Friday
great. Love
night.
being with you guys. Okay, right. You got it. See you soon.
Talk to you, Dave. Thanks, bud.
You bet.
All right, that's the great Dave Goucher. He called that great Stanley Cup championship and said, get the duck boats ready. That's a guy in Boston that would like to win one. The celebration of that goal, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We're going around the NHL next.
Welcome back to Offside Hockey. I'm Amy Markscores. That's Chris Kerber. And Kerbs, would you like to take a stroll around the NHL?
Yeah, let's bounce around. There's some wacky stuff going on in some of these other cities.
There certainly is. Okay, you might remember Blues fans David Pastrnak of the Boston Bruins.
Yes.
They're, on the perfection line with Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand. Well, he notched his 400th goal the other night, which is commendable and should be celebrated. However, the whole team cleared the bench, piled on at the goal line, and it looked like they had won the Stanley Cup. And my question is, do you do that for 400?
No. You know what? I'm not even sure. I don't have the understanding of this. Now, I haven't talked to anybody in Boston yet to say what was planned, or maybe there was something with that goal that I just don't know. Right? But Johnny Busick leads the Boston Bruins all-time in goals with 545. So you're 145 goals shy of that. I think Pastrnak, before it's all said and done, is going to get there and become the all-time goal leader for the Boston Bruins. A heck of a player. I mean, he's the kind of player you buy a ticket to watch. That's kind of my litmus test, right? I don't understand the celebration. I had to watch that celebration, and we'll talk about Ovechkin reaching 900 goals here in a minute. I've seen that. I don't understand what the role of that is in that moment. It's his 400th goal. I get it. It's not his 500th. this is the thing with milestones for me. And I'm not saying don't celebrate it. I'm not kind of being a grumpy old man of don't like that. It's a big goal. I get it. It's a milestone, but is it really? It's just because it's a round number. That celebration, if I'm the other team, I'm fired up. And this is when in the old school somebody gets a two-hand whack.
Felt so random, yeah.
Did it make sense to you?
No, I thought maybe I thought maybe it was something they had decided beforehand, or they thought it would be funny, which I know is not really what the team is thinking of.
They clearly did.
It felt random. 400 is special. Maybe you clear the benches when he's all-time goal scorer. Maybe you clear the benches at 500.
Yeah,
400?
What are you going to do when he gets 450? What do you do when he gets 500? Do all the fans come down onto the ice?
They storm the field.
Listen, this one didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I can tell you, some of these celebrations, I know they rub different goaltenders the wrong way and stuff like that. But either way, it's a celebration that, to me, didn't fit. You didn't take over a franchise lead. You're 6th in goal scoring all time with the Bruins, even with that goal plus the 401st he scored. Man, I love the player. That celebration makes no sense. All right. Speaking of celebrations, speaking of something, how about Ovechkin reaching 900 goals? Now, the Blues were in St. Louis. Alex Ovechkin, it was actually a heck of a play. Jordan Binnington goes to play it from behind the net, and Ovechkin knocked it down out of the air. That leads to a backhand goal that only a goal scorer is going to go. You can be 150 other players take that same shot. It's not going in. We were there to see it. I don't mind the whole team coming onto the ice to celebrate that. That, 900 was a total that nobody thought would be possible. Having said that, that's the 3rd time now he's scored a goal where the whole team has come out onto the ice. But, Amy, that's a heck of a goal total and something that there's a ton of people never thought you'd see reached.
With Gretzky's 895, that it just felt impossible. He's an extraordinary goal scorer. We haven't seen we haven't seen anybody.
No, he's the best of all time.
He's the best of all time.
Yeah.
It's not just the skill, but it's also the longevity, the ability to play, the ability to stay healthy to reach that number.
Yeah.
Mario Lemieux maybe would have been able to reach a number like that. Body wouldn't let him. Do you remember with Gretzky setting those records, what the celebrations were?
I don't.
I don't either. That's a question
I don't
mark.
actually. That's a really good question. Now, but this story on this one is not the celebration as it is. It's just a heck of a goal. To be standing right next to Bernie Federko during that game, and you have a Hall of Famer talk about how it's an unbelievable number. Here's what I do wonder. I wonder Brett Hull, who passed up chances to score empty netters. I wonder about Brett Hull, who lost half a season in 94-95, lost a whole season in 05-06. Things like that, I wonder how things look a little bit different. Yeah. But, Alex Ovechkin is such an amazingly fun player to watch. Listen, I'm not going to rule it out. I wonder if this guy is going to see 1,000 goals. I wonder if he's going to play to get 100 more goals. He's got the passion for it. It wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah, and I will say this about the empty net goals. I think Brett Hull only had 11. Think of all the goals he scored. I'm pretty sure he had only 11 empty net goals. Ovechkin leads the way with empty net goals, even if it's in, I think, 65, 64, something like that. Maybe. He could very well get to 1,000.
That would be something else. All right, we had Ryan O'Reilly. The Nashville Predators are struggling. They haven't been good over the last couple of years. Blues captain, well, he took a beating himself, apparently.
Ryan, what's the most frustrating part about, you guys come out hot and then you kind of just let it go?
Yeah, obviously the chance to take full control of the game. We didn't let them come back in and push back, and it didn't happen. I know for myself, number one center, and we turned the puck over everywhere. And you can't make a 6-foot pass to save my life, so we're not going to have much success if, I'm playing pathetic like that. So it's stupid. I don't know the answer. I've had one good year in my career, and I don't have any answers, that's for sure.
It's hard to hear him say that. He is so hard on himself. And Curbs, we talk so much about passion. We talk about caring, about taking it personally, about playing with pride. Ryan O'Reilly does all of those things. You go back to the 2018-2019 season when the Blues were struggling, before the turnaround came in January. At the beginning of that year, Ryan O'Reilly carried the weight of the team's struggles on his shoulders heavily. And it's what you want. At some point, maybe he's not being fair to himself. I think he's had more than one good year in his career, to be fair. And so I hate to see him so down, but he cares. He's passionate.
That shows you the challenges that Nashville has ahead. Sometimes it's just about how do you get through the mental game when your team has struggled. But you're right, that is a little hard to see. You don't win a Conn Smythe, you don't win a Selke, you don't win a Stanley Cup if you just have one bad year. That guy's had a championship career. And I'll tell you what, whether it's in Nashville, if they move him someplace else, wherever he may go, it's not work. Whatever they're trying to do in Nashville, whatever they tried to do with bringing in guys like Steven Stamkos and Marchessault, it hasn't worked. And Ryan O'Reilly, it didn't recapture some of the magic that you thought that they could recapture. I do think when one of the two of these guys go to another team, Amy, they're going to find some of that fire back, and he'll be just fine. He's got way too much pride. But, yeah, you could see him battle that one there pretty good. Hey, I got a nugget for you. How about taking a look at the NHL scoring leaders here as we wrap up our Around the NHL segment? When you look at where it is right now, Nathan MacKinnon sits atop the NHL in terms of points. Then right behind him, or how about these names? That guy, Leo Carlsson. After that, Macklin Celebrini. After that, Connor Bedard. Look at that list before you get to who's tied for ninth. Okay? And Amy, if you go through this, Nathan MacKinnon, first overall pick. Leo Carlsson, second overall pick. Celebrini and Bedard, first overall picks. William Nylander was an eighth overall pick. Right? Then you get Cale Makar. He's a fourth overall pick. You keep going down the list. You got Rantanen, who's a 10th overall pick. Jack Eichel is tied for 10th, second overall pick. Kaprizov, 5th round pick. You're seeing something that you can't deny. Those high picks are producing in the NHL, and you have young guns that can do it. Yeah, they're dynamic. They're changing the game. They're challenging the veterans that have always been the leaders. They're challenging the guys that have always been those goal scorers. I feel like they're doing it more quickly than ever, or at least that wave of young guns is coming in more quickly than ever. I was listening to an interview with Mark Messier, and he was asked, who do you like watching? Who do you like watching? He said, Celebrini and Crosby. He goes, it's a young man's league, and Crosby is bucking the trend. Those are the two guys he loves to watch. Yeah, that is pretty impressive. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going back to some Blues news, Blues topics, following it right up. Man, did they start to find an identity line that they needed? They might have just done that. Welcome back to Offside Hockey. Curbs, let's jump into Blues news and notes, starting with Logan Mailloux going back to Springfield. You could see this coming, didn't you? Yeah. They really gave him a chance. They wanted to see him play well. It wasn't going well. Now, part of that is the impact, I think, of the team itself. The team game wasn't great. That's really hard for a young guy. As hard as it is, and that's a tough pill to swallow to go back down, this is going to give him a chance to breathe, find his game again, rebuild some confidence before they bring him back up. But I don't think the Blues had much of a choice in this one. Some veteran NHLers, Hall of Famers on the national level have said they think it takes 200 games for a defenseman to stop being a liability on the blue line. Yeah, because it's just all experience. So it was a needed move. Yeah. An unfortunate one for Logan, but the team also has to perform and play better. And that leads to Oskar Sundqvist then. As we look at Oskar Sundqvist, he returned to the lineup as a healthy scratch over the previous two games. This is a guy that the coach called his binky, right? Then he comes back in and he gets 2 assists. The reality of it is every time they put Oscar Sundqvist in the lineup from when he first got here, he can be a difference maker, and that's good to see.
Well, in a team where you've seen inconsistency, you want to know what to expect, and you know what to expect when you're looking at Oscar Sundqvist. Now, what we're not quite sure here right now is special teams. We've kind of gone up and down with the power play, seen some success, the penalty kill, not so much.
So the power play's 10th in the league. On the surface, that looks good. I really wonder if that first unit is generating enough shots. They're taking a minute, sometimes a minute 20, minute 15, minute 20 of power play time, and then making the change, having only had one shot on goal. And that doesn't give that second unit a whole lot of chance there. So, like, I don't think you can be really happy that you're ranked top 10 in the power play. I think that there's more to get from there. Penalty kill wise, this just hasn't been good enough. Now, they had a good penalty kill against in their last game against Calgary. That's important. I think it's 4 games now on the whole season where they haven't allowed a power play goal. If that worm turns, Amy, this team's going to find even more success because you can be aggressive because you're not concerned about giving up as many goals.
And that also, penalty kill success hinges on the goaltender.
Right. Oh, big time. And the goaltending has been good. Hey, Milan Lucic today. Milan Lucic played for the Springfield Thunderbirds. They had a morning game, a 10:30 in the morning game because it's a school field trip game. Bunch of school buses, everything comes in. He's still trying. He's on the radar. We'll see if he can make the comeback.
Well, okay. If you're a betting man, odds, what do you think? I mean, it's tough for anybody to come back after a couple of years off. He's an older player, makes it a bit tougher, but he could add a physicality element that the Blues could use?
I'm giving it a 40% chance.
Okay.
A little less than 50-50, but 40% chance. And speaking of tough chances, how about the last week that the St. Louis Blues top players have had? You had Jordan Kyrou scratched as a healthy scratch for a game in Buffalo. Robert Thomas sat for the better part of a period, the second half of a period on that road trip. 2 games ago, you had Pavel Buchnevich only play 14 minutes, which is about 5 minutes less on average than he did. We'd mentioned the Oscar Sundqvist part. You know, Jim Montgomery is coaching and coaching and coaching and coaching, but the reality of it is you got to get to the point where you do not have to bench or scratch or incentivize your top players. That's got to become a thing where if they're going to turn things around and really go, those guys are going to drive the bus.
Yeah, I've just been digging into like NHL archives, listening to conversations with great players who, that Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky, Pierre Turgeon. And one thing that it all harkens back to is you can have all the talent in the world, but you've got to have leadership and you've got to have a winning mindset. Now, the winning mindset is off the ice and on the ice. And with this team, a lot of young guys. Are you seeing the leadership? Are you seeing them having to step into leadership roles? Sometimes I feel like there are question marks.
And those are question marks they're going to need answers, especially with the big weekend coming up. We're going to touch on that big weekend here in a moment. All right, one final time we bring you into Offside Hockey. Amy, big time weekend coming up. A chance for the fans here because we almost very rarely see back-to-back games on home ice.
Yeah.
You don't see that often. Friday and Saturday night. Philly on Friday, Vegas on Saturday.
Then get your tickets. Go to both games. What a heck of a weekend that would be.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Now, Philly's struggling as, they're continuing to rebuild. We already talked to Dave Goucher. We know where Vegas is. This is a huge opportunity. That win against Calgary gives the Blues an opportunity now for a 3-game win streak and an opportunity to get back to 500 before a massively difficult road trip.
Yeah, we know the Flyers are struggling, the Golden Knights are struggling, so hockey is not like life. Find someone's weakness and kick them while they're down. Like, do what you can. Exploit their weaknesses. If they're struggling, find that and lean into it. Because right now, the Blues didn't get the start that they needed. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, we do not need the Blues to be the medicine for these other teams.
No.
We need to keep the other teams down without a doubt there. Well, that'll do it for this week's edition of Offside Hockey. Thank you very much for tuning in. Every single Wednesday, we come your way on Matrix Midwest. NHL topics, Blues topics, some fun digital stuff as well. Our 3 stars, always a fun segment as well. So tune in every single Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. Offside Hockey. For Amy, I'm Chris. Have a great week, and we will see you at the rink.
Offside Hockey, driven by Weber Automotive Group.
This broadcast from the Matrix Midwest Studios is brought to you by New Ground International. It's time to plan, design, and build your future. Start today at newground.com.